And on this first day of camp, we are tackling a hot topic among Bills fans, the future of the team's stadium. The current lease on Highmark Stadium is up in 2 years, and whether the Bills build new or renovate, it's going to be a massive project. You can call it stadium sticker shock. With every new NFL stadium built since 2009 costing more than $1 billion. The most recent, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, cost $1.5 billion. The new SoFi Stadium in LA, opened in 2020, cost $4.9 billion. And the new home of the Raiders in Las Vegas pushed close to $2 billion. But the Bills' size and scope of a new facility would likely be different.
I think the answer is probably a scaled-down version of some of these palaces that are being built around the country.
The Bills could also choose to renovate the current Highmark Stadium, but renovations can still come with a big price tag. Recent projects in Baltimore, Tampa Bay, and Miami range from $120 million to $500 million. Tonight, reporter Hannah Buehler speaks with a stadium expert, exploring what the Bills' plans for a new stadium could look like.
The guessing game for whether or not the Bills were going to stay in Buffalo was by far the highest anxiety that I've ever had, when it comes to this sports team. This isn't too far behind it.
Buffalo's kind of like the last simple place in the NFL. I mean, we're a small market, and I kind of like what we have.
It's the biggest who, what, where, when, and how for Bills fans and the Western New York community. Where will the 2020 AFC Championship Buffalo Bills play in 2023 when the team's lease ends with Erie County? And what will happen to the nearly 50-year-old Highmark Stadium?
A couple of years ago, we did a study. That study was completed. We went back to that study recently over the last 12 to 18 months because of COVID, because of some changing economics throughout the country, the league, etc. We have since completed, let's call the revised study, and we are really looking forward to sharing that with our partners at the state and the county.
That was Pagula Sports and Entertainment President Ron Rakuya in March, talking about the next steps in the stadium process. Since that time, the Bills say PSE has met with state and county officials and outlined a plan for future stadium and arena projects in Western New York. That was the last we heard from the team.
The existing stadium really has served its purposes and delivered a tremendous amount for the community, but it's time to move on to a new stadium.
Mark Gannis is the president and co-founder of Sports Corp Limited in Chicago. Gannis and Sports Corp have worked on dozens of stadium and arena projects for professional sports teams.
Where a new stadium gets built is very much a factor of what the community's priorities are and what else it wants to do.
Gannis, who is not affiliated with a potential project, says when it comes to a new stadium for an NFL team, there are key factors: location, build in Orchard Park or build elsewhere; cost, a retractable roof stadium, dome stadium, or an open air; and the size of the market, as NFL economics have changed. Let's start with the location.
The easiest place to put a new stadium is where the existing stadium is.
Gannis says with traffic patterns already in place, space for tailgating, and the potential for add-ons like restaurants and shops, the easiest thing to do is stay put in Orchard Park.
You could put a new stadium in a location where the intent is to build a large development around it. Or you can put a new stadium in a downtown area if the intent is to build up the downtown area.
Now to the cost.
That's a key question: is what is the scope of the project? Is it domed, retractable dome, open air?
Gannis says the cost of the project all depends on what type of stadium the team wants. An open air stadium like the Bills currently have is the cheapest option, with a price tag of about $1 billion and change. And then the size of the market. Buffalo is one of the smallest markets in the NFL. Gannis says to make the team financially viable in Western New York,
there is a rule of thumb. That is that the larger the market, the smaller the public sector contribution. The smaller the market, the larger the public sector contribution. And Buffalo is one of the smallest markets in the NFL.
And that's because, he says, larger markets like New England and Dallas, for example, have a lot more private sector money like sponsorships to tap into. So he says the state needs to step up.
It's a good thing that the Bills are doing well right now. It's not the most important factor when it comes to building a generational new stadium, but it really helps remind people just how important the bills are to the community.
When it comes to the lease, Scanna says if there's a plan in place, that is easy to extend. He anticipates some type of plan by this spring after the season is over. Last month, 7 Eyewitness News confirmed through sources that the Bills are consulting with a company called Legends Global Planning about a potential new stadium.
We requested an interview with the state of New York on this topic and never heard back. We also contacted the NFL and never heard back. As for Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz, I was denied a sit-down interview with him on this topic, and this is what his press secretary told me. That will not work for the county executive. He does not want to engage in hypotheticals, and right now there's really no way of knowing where this issue will take the county. He added he does not want to discuss this topic in the media. We're live in the newsroom tonight. Hannah Bueller, 7 Eyewitness News.